Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me.
Today we're going to kind of take a look back
Mm-hmm.
at this past week in cybersecurity news.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
always a fire hose
Always.
information out there.
Right.
We're going to try to filter out the noise
Mm-hmm.
and just give you the need-to-know stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this week, January 6th through the 10th,
Okay.
really interesting week.
Definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
kind of seeing how cybersecurity is playing out on a global scale.
Yeah. It is.
With, you know,
Yeah.
ripples all the way down to our personal lives.
You go down to the individual.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's jump right in.
Okay.
One of the things that caught my eye
Mm-hmm.
was this UN cybercrime treaty.
Oh, yeah.
This sounds like it's straight out of some
Mm.
kind of political thriller.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's freshly ratified by the UN. So this treaty is aiming to establish a global framework for tackling cybercrime,
wow.
which on the surface is great,
Right.
but
Looks like a good idea.
it's sparked some serious concerns.
Okay. What kind of concerns?
Well, there's criticisms that it lacks
Okay.
sufficient protection for researchers,
Mhm.
journalists, and activists.
Oh.
So there are some holes there.
Interesting. I was reading that the U.S. may not even ratify this.
That's right.
So what's that all about?
Yeah, given those criticisms and
Mhm.
also just the incoming administration's stance on
Okay.
UN involvement, it's highly unlikely that the U.S. is actually going to sign on.
So what does that mean?
Right,
I mean,
right.
could the treaty be
Yeah,
basically ineffective
Yeah.
if the U.S. doesn't sign?
it's a very real possibility.
Okay.
The U.S. not participating could seriously diminish
Wow.
the effectiveness of the treaty on a global scale.
Interesting.
So it's definitely a situation that we should be watching.
Okay. Something to keep an eye on.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this next story
Yeah.
really hit home for me.
Okay.
This case out of New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
the truck terrorists,
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
specifically how they used Meta Ray-Bans in this case.
Yeah. This is a really
That's scary stuff.
stark illustration of
Exactly.
how the lines between everyday tech and surveillance
Yeah.
are really blurred.
Totally.
The FBI actually released footage from the attacker's glasses
Wow.
showing his movements leading up to the attack.
So, I mean, they're using this like consumer tech.
It raises some chilling questions
Right.
about,
Dude,
you know, where this is going.
It's like
Yeah.
if law enforcement can use
Yeah.
consumer-grade Meta Ray-Bans,
Right.
what's stopping them from using
Any
other-
style tone.
right smart glasses?
It could potentially set a precedent for law enforcement using consumer tech for surveillance.
Yeah. What about my,
Right, exactly.
fitness tracker or my
Could your smart glasses or fitness tracker
Yeah.
or even your home assistant be used against you?
right?
So it's a conversation that we as a society need to have.
That's creepy.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Another story that's just ripped from the headlines.
Mm-hmm.
This huge data leak
Oh, yeah.
from the Oath Keepers and the American Patriots the Third,
Mm-hmm.
200 gigabytes
Yeah.
of chat logs and recordings.
Yeah.
I mean,
feel what's
yeah.
fascinating about this is how the leak happened.
Okay, how?
So it wasn't a hack.
Okay.
It was an inside job.
Wow.
John Williams, who infiltrated these groups, was actually the source of the leak,
So this guy's like a double agent.
essentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for...
Well, this kind of leak
Yeah.
is a gold mine for understanding these groups.
It gives us unprecedented peek into their operations, their ideologies,
Okay.
and potentially even their plans for the future.
So this is
Yeah.
very valuable intelligence
Very valuable.
Yeah.
For
for law enforcement and for researchers trying to
Yeah.
understand how these groups work.
all right.
Yeah.
Speaking of national security,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about the DoD
Okay.
and these concerns about
Yeah.
their security
Yeah, two senators
or lack thereof.
have actually sounded the alarm
Okay.
about the DoD's failure to implement end-to-end encryption,
Okay.
even for their unclassified communications,
Wow.
which is a big deal, particularly given the recent hacks
Yeah.
of major telecom carriers.
A big vulnerability.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know part of the issue is this SS7.
Yes. So for those who aren't familiar,
Oh.
SS7 stands for Signaling System Number 7.
Okay.
It's a decades-old protocol that's used by telecom companies.
Okay.
And it's very vulnerable to hacking.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
It's
And what are the real-world implications of this? I
you know,
mean,
well, we're talking about
yeah.
potentially jeopardizing the safety of our troops.
Okay.
It's not just about data leaks.
Yeah.
It's about lives on the line.
Right.
If our military communications aren't secure,
Yeah.
it puts our troops at risk.
Especially with these
Go ahead.
sophisticated. Oh.
Increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks that we're
Yeah.
seeing today.
Okay. Yeah.
From protecting our soldiers to
Right.
protecting our privacy.
Mhm.
This next story
Okay.
is about researchers exploiting
Yeah.
unsecured license plate reader cameras.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
This is a big wake-up call
Yeah.
about the pervasiveness of surveillance tech
Totally.
and how it can be abused.
Yeah.
Researchers were able to track vehicle locations and movements just by exploiting vulnerabilities in these cameras.
So, I mean, if researchers can do it,
makes you wonder.
what's stopping bad actors from doing it?
That's the scary part.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like this technology that we
It's a prime example of how
okay,
it's
kind of mundane.
that seems mundane
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
these far-reaching implications for privacy and security.
Well, this next story
Okay.
is a little bit of a
Yeah.
glimmer of hope in
Yeah.
this, kind of
Yeah.
scary landscape.
Yeah.
The U.S. Cyber Trust Mark.
Oh.
Have you heard of this?
Yeah. So this is a voluntary program from the FCC,
Okay.
and it's aimed at
Yeah.
improving the security of those
Yeah.
devices that we're all bringing into our homes.
Right.
The Internet of Things.
The Internet of Things.
Mhm.
Okay.
All these smart devices.
So they're bringing in Underwriters Laboratory,
That's right.
the UL people.
The folks that
Right.
certify electrical appliance safety.
Yeah, to basically run this program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah, it'll be a
quite-
visible sign for consumers,
Right.
giving them
Okay. Yeah.
more transparency about the device's security.
So kind of like that U.S. seal of approval, but for
Exactly.
cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Okay.
It'll have things like QR codes,
Yeah.
linking
Yeah.
to detailed cybersecurity information,
These are-
support
right.
timelines,
Okay.
patching policies.
So this could be
It's not just about giving consumers peace of mind,
Yeah.
but also about pushing
right.
manufacturers to up their game when
Yeah.
it comes to security.
Totally.
Imagine a world where
I mean, imagine.
every smart device you buy
Right.
comes with, a
Yes.
clear, reliable indicator of its security.
Cyber Trust Mark.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keeping your systems safe is super important as businesses rely more and more on digital systems, and that's where turnkey cybersecurity can really help.
Yeah, we're here to help small businesses just like yours make sure they're safe and sound in this crazy world of cybersecurity. And we offer a whole suite of services specifically tailored for you. So that's ensuring CMMC compliance and doing penetration testing. We also run vulnerability scans, and we can help you develop a comprehensive risk assessment.
And it doesn't stop there, right?
No, it doesn't.
We handle incident response, should the unfortunate happen, and we guide you through migrations like GCC. We just want to make sure your transitions are smooth and that you're secure.
It's all about peace of mind, right? You focus on what you do best, running your business, and we'll make sure that your digital world is safe and sound.
Now, this last story, we're going to talk about the outgoing administration and
Yeah.
all this activity
around
around.
Chinese cyber activity.
Yeah, this past week has seen
Yeah.
just
I mean, this is
some serious stuff.
for revelations about Chinese hacking.
Yeah.
Some dating back as far as 2014.
So
Yeah.
what are some of the things that stood out to you?
Yeah, we've learned about
Yeah.
breaches of multiple U.S. government agencies.
Right.
One that really caught my attention
Okay.
was the hack of senior U.S. Treasury leaders.
What?
Yeah.
So these are like
Yeah, so the attackers gained access
some
to
high-level people.
sensitive information
Wow.
about sanctions plans.
So what? I
Yeah.
mean, what are they doing about this?
Yeah, the outgoing administration has taken a
Not China.
number of steps,
Yeah.
including a move to block.
Certain Chinese telecom companies
Yeah.
from operating in the U.S.
So they're trying to.
They're also considering a ban
Okay.
on Chinese drones,
Wow.
including DJI, which is the market leader.
I mean, these are some big moves in
Yeah.
the
Big move.
cybersecurity space.
Yeah, it feels like the cybersecurity landscape
Yeah.
is becoming increasingly intertwined with
Oh.
global politics.
Totally.
And it'll be very interesting to see how the incoming administration
Right.
navigates this complex terrain,
Yeah.
balancing national security
Oh, right.
with economic and diplomatic considerations.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a story we're going to be
It's
following
a story that will continue to unfold.
for a while.
Yeah.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah.
Okay, moving from immediate threats
Right.
to
Right.
shaping the future.
Okay.
This House Task Force on AI released a report.
Oh, yeah. This is a major development.
Yeah. Oh,
This report lays out a vision for
Right.
how the U.S. can lead in AI while addressing the potential risks.
yeah. So what are some of the takeaways for our listeners?
Comprehensive roadmap
Okay.
for AI adoption, innovation,
All right.
and importantly, governance. Yeah.
So they're looking at how...
To govern the...
So one of the key themes
Yeah.
is the need for the U.S. government to embrace AI
Okay.
for efficiency and security, but to do so responsibly,
Right.
ethically.
So not true.
That means considering the implications
That's it.
for civil rights
Let's go full steam ahead.
and liberties.
Yeah.
We need to be careful about how we implement this.
Okay. Yeah.
The report also tackles, the thorny issue of data privacy,
Okay.
urging the exploration of privacy-enhancing technologies.
Interesting.
And of course, national security is front and center.
There's a call for careful oversight
Okay.
of AI in defense applications.
Yeah.
Think autonomous weapons systems.
Right.
To make sure that humans retain control
Right.
over critical decisions.
That's important.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they're trying to strike a balance.
They're trying to strike a balance between
development, but also
AI development, but also
putting safeguards in place.
Yeah. So
AI is a powerful force.
A powerful technology
With the potential to really reshape our world in profound ways.
Totally.
And this report is a vital step toward
This report's really
harnessing that power
good
while mitigating the risks.
Yeah. Okay. Before we move on to our next segment, I want to circle back to that U.S. cyber trust mark.
I think this is something that can
have a real impact.
Really impact an average person.
The average person.
Yeah. It's a move towards empowering consumers, giving them a clear way to see how secure a device is before they bring it into their home.
So I'm walking through the store.
Right.
You
can scan a QR code.
Scan the code.
And get detailed information about
secure.
The device's security.
Which trans device is.
Exactly.
There's like a cybersecurity cheat sheet.
That's a great way to put it.
Right in my pocket.
Yeah. And this transparency, you know, could push manufacturers to, step up their game.
Yeah.
Leading to more secure
devices. It's a win-win, more informed consumers.
It's not just about protecting ourselves from...
And a safer digital landscape. Yeah. Shadowy hackers, nation states. It's also about making smart choices. About the technology that we're bringing into our lives.
About the tech we invite into our lives.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to take a pause here. When we come back, we're going to dive deeper into some of the practical steps you can take to protect yourself in this digital world. Sounds good. We've talked about a lot of these external forces, but ultimately cybersecurity comes down to personal responsibility.
Right. It's on us.
You can't just rely on governments or corporations to keep your information safe.
So true.
You got to be proactive about protecting yourself.
So let's talk practical.
Yeah.
What are the steps people need to take?
All right.
Where do we even begin?
Let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Passwords.
Okay.
I know it's Cybersecurity 101, but it's shocking how many people still use weak or easily guessable passwords.
It's so true.
You need unique, strong passwords for each of your accounts.
Right.
No reusing the same one.
Got it. Unique and strong.
Yep. Okay. That's step one.
What about multi-factor authentication?
Oh, yeah.
I've been seeing that.
That's huge.
Pop up more and more.
It's like adding an extra lock
Okay.
on your digital door.
Okay.
Requires you to confirm your identity using multiple methods.
Okay.
Making it much harder for hackers to get into your account, even if they do steal your password.
So it's like an extra layer of protection.
Absolutely. Enable it wherever you can.
Okay. I'm going to start doing that.
That's a good step.
Okay.
Yeah.
Software updates. I'm guilty of.
Oh, yeah. We all
putting those off sometimes. What's the deal with that?
I know they can be a nuisance.
Right.
But
yeah,
those updates often include crucial security patches that fix vulnerabilities.
So they're actually...
So ignoring those updates
is
like leaving your front door wide open.
Point taken.
Meh.
For cyber criminals.
No more delaying those updates.
Yeah.
Okay, what about phishing? Phishing scams.
Oh, those are tricky.
They seem to be getting
Yeah.
more sophisticated all the time.
They're getting increasingly
Let's
sophisticated.
we avoid falling for these traps.
The first line of defense is vigilance.
Okay.
So really scrutinize every email,
Okay.
especially those from unknown senders.
Yeah.
Be wary of messages that create a sense of urgency, pressuring you to act quickly.
Right.
Look very closely at the sender's email address.
Okay.
Is it legitimate?
Got it.
And if something seems even slightly off,
Yeah.
better to err on the side of caution.
Right. Better safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Don't click on anything.
Yeah, don't click on links
Unless you're sure.
or open attachments.
Unless you are 100% sure they're legit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you have doubts,
Right. If you have any doubt,
contact the sender
contact the sender directly.
directly
Yeah.
using a trusted channel.
All right. Good advice.
Uh,
So, okay.
Just official website or a phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
It's so convenient.
Oh, it's so convenient.
But I always hear it's not secure.
You've heard it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the...
Public Wi-Fi networks, especially those without password protection,
Yeah.
are like open invitations for snoopers.
Okay.
So your online activity can be easily intercepted.
So what do I do?
Yeah, so if you absolutely have to use public Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
try to avoid accessing sensitive websites
Okay.
like your bank
Okay.
online shopping sites
Okay.
where you're entering,
Right.
personal or financial information.
What about a VPN?
Oh, yeah, a VPN
Does it help?
can be a great tool.
Okay.
VPN stands for Virtual Private Network.
And it essentially encrypts your internet traffic.
Okay.
Creates a secure tunnel for your online activity,
Got it.
even on unsecured networks.
Okay, so it's like a little protective.
There are many reputable VPN services available
Okay,
that are easy to use
good to know.
and affordable.
Yeah, I'm going to look into that.
That's a good step.
Social media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's such a big part of our lives,
It is. It's a huge part of our lives.
but I'm
they-
sure it has its own
It is, yeah.
security risks.
So what should people keep in mind? Anything you post online can potentially be seen by anyone,
Right.
not just your intended audience.
Not just your friends.
Think of it like
Yeah.
shouting something from a rooftop.
Oh, wow.
Everyone can hear you.
Okay, maybe I need to rethink.
So
Am I
be
doing
mindful of what you're sharing
Yeah.
and who you're interacting with.
Yeah.
Be cautious about
What about the
accepting friend requests
Yeah, those friend requests from people you don't really know.
from people you don't know.
Right.
And think twice before clicking on any links
Okay.
that seem suspicious.
Got it.
Social media is a playground for scammers
Yeah.
and phishers.
Yeah.
So trust your gut.
So just be aware.
Yeah. If something seems fishy, report it to the
Right.
platform. Don't hesitate to use those reporting features.
Okay.
They're there for a reason.
Good advice.
Yeah.
I guess it sounds like cybersecurity boils down to
It does.
being cautious
Yeah.
and using common sense.
Yeah.
It's not just about the technology. It's
Yeah.
about
It's not just about the tech. It's
Yeah.
about our behavior.
our behavior, how we're acting online.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears now
Okay.
and talk about this intersection of technology and national security.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Chinese cyber activity.
We did.
It feels like something out of a spy novel.
Ripped from the headlines.
Right.
Yeah.
What are some of the long-term
Implications
of these
Yeah,
events?
these events.
Yeah, so it's not just about stolen data.
Right.
It's about the potential for disruption,
Okay.
misinformation,
Mm-hmm.
erosion of trust.
Wow.
We're seeing a
Yeah.
digital arms race
Right.
unfolding
Rather than
with nations vying for dominance
I
in
saw it.
cyberspace.
It's about global power.
It's a new
Yeah.
battleground.
Okay. And with this tension between
Only going to escalate.
likely.
Frankly.
Yeah.
You think it's just going to...
It'll be interesting to see
you're pulling
how
it
the incoming administration tackles this challenge.
Yeah, I mean, this is
It's a high-stakes balancing act,
a big deal.
national security versus
Yeah.
economic and diplomatic considerations.
Okay. Yeah.
Those concerns about the DoD
Yeah.
and their comp security.
Yeah. The lack of end-to-end encryption.
Oh, no.
Lack of
For even unclassified communications
end-to-end encryption.
is a big deal.
I mean, that's especially
Pathetic.
considering the recent hacks of major telecom carriers.
Right.
So we're talking about potentially compromising
I mean,
the safety of our troops.
about the safety of our troops?
Yeah, jeopardizing missions and undermining national security.
Okay.
It's not just about data leaks. It's about
that they're still relying on
on the line.
It's-
And yeah, the
the
reliance
7.
on this outdated SS7
Yeah.
protocol
So,
is like using a rusty old lock
I mean, that's crazy.
on a vault full of gold.
Yeah.
It needs to be addressed urgently.
Right.
The DoD has taken some steps.
To improve their cybersecurity posture, but
Right.
there's always more.
Hopefully they're taking
This seriously.
yeah, it's an ongoing process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's clear that cybersecurity is no longer just a domestic issue.
Right.
It's a global challenge that requires international cooperation.
Yeah. Requiring international cooperation, but
with countries enacting their own
with countries enacting their own
regulations.
cybersecurity
But
regulations.
it feels like the
Not.
internet is becoming more fragmented.
It feels like the internet is becoming more fragmented.
Yeah.
It's a tension
Might have.
between national interests and the need for global cooperation in cyberspace.
So, I mean, how do we even
It's not easy,
begin to foster international cooperation?
but there are some.
Promising initiatives.
Sure, wait, for example, the UN has been working on
Yeah. Yeah.
a set of norms
Okay.
for responsible state behavior in cyberspace.
So they're trying to
Essentially trying to establish a code of conduct
establish some ground rules
for nations
Yeah.
in the digital realm.
for cyberspace.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like setting ground rules
you think?
for how nations should interact with each other in cyberspace.
Rules of the road.
Exactly.
Okay.
And while these norms aren't legally binding,
Are these effective?
they represent a step
Okay.
towards building consensus
Yeah.
and fostering a more stable and secure online environment.
That's herding cats.
It is a bit like herding cats,
Right.
but the
Yeah.
alternative is a digital Wild West
Right.
where anything goes,
Yeah.
and the risks to global stability are immense.
So it's in everyone's best interest
It's in everyone's best
to
interest
try to cooperate.
to find a way to work together.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about what governments
Organizations are doing.
and organizations are doing.
But what can everyday people do
Right.
to contribute?
Right. That's a great
Question.
a safer, more secure digital world.
We're at the mercy of these large-scale forces,
Right.
but our individual actions
Okay.
do matter.
Right.
It starts with awareness.
Yeah. What can we do?
Educate yourself about the threats, the risks,
Yeah.
the best practices for staying safe online.
So knowledge is power.
Exactly.
Okay.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And it's not just about protecting yourself.
Okay.
Share your knowledge
Yeah.
with others, your family, your friends, your colleagues.
So we need to be talking about this
Help to
with
create
our friends and family.
a culture of cybersecurity awareness
Okay.
in your own circles.
So it's like a digital neighborhood watch.
That's a great way to think about it.
Right.
We all have a role to play
Good.
in creating a safer and more secure digital world.
I want to go back to that House Task Force on AI report.
Mm-hmm. This report
I think it's worth a deeper look.
really digs into the nitty-gritty
Yeah.
of how the U.S. can lead in AI
Okay.
while managing the potential pitfalls.
So what are some of the key things
One of the central themes
people should know
is the need
for the government to leverage AI
Okay.
for efficiency and security, but to do so responsibly
Okay.
and ethically?
So it's about using AI
That means transparency, accountability,
thoughtfully
and a focus on protecting civil rights and liberties.
and ethically.
So it's not just about
Yeah.
embracing the shiny new tech.
Okay.
It's about using it thoughtfully and ethically.
So what are some of their concerns?
Well, for instance, they call for exploring privacy-enhancing technologies
Okay.
to safeguard our data
Mhm.
in the age of AI
So
and on the national security front.
protecting our data. There's a strong emphasis on oversight
Right.
of AI in defense applications.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to autonomous weapon systems.
I mean, that's important.
You know, we need to make sure
Yeah.
that humans retain control
Humans need to be
over critical decisions.
in control.
Okay. Yeah, it's a balancing act.
So it's a
Encouraging AI development, but also putting safeguards in place.
balancing act.
Right.
Right.
And the report highlights that this balance is crucial.
So they're saying that
AI has the potential to transform our world,
This is really important.
for better or for worse.
This is a
And this report is a significant step
pivotal moment.
towards shaping that future
Yeah.
in a positive way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about,
Yeah.
all these external threats,
These external threats.
government initiatives, and emerging technologies.
Yeah.
I want to bring it back down to the personal level.
Yeah.
What are some practical steps that individuals can take
Great question. And it's important to
to
remember
enhance their cybersecurity?
that even small steps can make a big difference.
Okay.
We've already touched on some of the basics.
Yeah.
Like strong passwords,
Strong password.
multi-factor authentication,
Mm-hmm.
being cautious about phishing scams.
Right.
But let's dig a little deeper
Okay.
into some additional tips
I had already.
and strategies.
Yeah.
So one important step
Okay.
is being mindful of the software you
Yep.
install on your devices.
Okay.
Only download apps
Great.
from reputable sources,
Right.
like the official app store
The App
for
Store.
your operating system.
Okay.
Be wary
I'll go play.
of downloading software from untrusted websites
Okay.
or from pop-up ads.
Okay.
Stick to the official app stores.
So basically, stick to the official
Yes.
ones.
Avoid anything that looks sketchy,
Got it.
If it seems too good to be true,
Yeah.
it probably is.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Another important tip is to be cautious
okay.
about the information you share online.
Okay.
Avoid posting
Right.
sensitive personal information like your home address,
Yeah.
phone number, or financial details on social media
Yeah.
or other public platforms.
Don't put that out there
Yep.
publicly.
Once something is posted online,
Yeah.
it can be very difficult to remove it completely.
It's like they say, think
It's out there.
before you post.
Exactly. Think before you post.
Right.
And if you're using public Wi-Fi,
Okay, public Wi-Fi.
which we talked about earlier,
Yeah.
consider using a VPN
Okay.
to encrypt your internet traffic and protect your data from snoopers.
Encrypting our traffic.
Exactly.
Okay.
You're creating that secure tunnel
Got it.
for your online activity.
And be mindful.
And speaking of online
The
activity,
websites we're visiting.
be mindful of the websites you visit.
Right.
And the links you click on. Okay. Avoid clicking on links
Don't click on any.
from unknown senders.
So spam.
Or visiting websites that look suspicious.
Right.
Stick to reputable websites that.
So I guess it's all about
Alright.
being aware and using common sense.
Exactly.
Right.
It's about being aware and using common sense.
If something seems
And if you ever encounter
that stuff
something,
that seems off,
it probably is.
such as a suspicious email
Yeah.
or a website that looks like a phishing site,
Don't click on it.
report it to the appropriate authorities.
So
So
how's
don't
that
be
feel?
afraid
Digital whistleblower.
to be a digital whistleblower.
Okay.
By reporting suspicious activity.
All right, good advice.
You can help to prevent others from becoming victims of cyber attacks.
I want to switch gears now
Okay.
and explore this theme
Yeah.
of technology and national security.
Mhm. I agree it's a topic
We've touched on it a little bit.
that deserves further exploration.
Oh.
Digital realm
I think it warrants a deeper look.
is increasingly intertwined with real-world power dynamics,
Right.
and this convergence has profound implications
It's scary stuff.
for national security.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So let's start about China.
with the elephant in the room, China,
Right.
these revelations
Yeah, the outgoing administration
from the outgoing administration about Chinese cyber-espionage,
really dropped.
going back over a decade. Paint a
Bombshell with all this stuff.
So, what are your thoughts?
That's been going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, these revelations are definitely
What do you think about all this?
a cause for concern.
Yeah.
China's cyber capabilities
It's
have grown significantly in recent years,
Right.
and they've demonstrated a willingness to use those capabilities
Yeah.
for economic and strategic advantage.
They're
The
the
hacks targeted
upper wraps
U.S. government agencies and private companies.
stealing information
It's a real
anymore.
testament to that.
Right.
So it's like
This is about disrupting
critical
beautiful
infrastructure is underway.
Right.
It's not just about stealing information.
Disrupting misinformation.
It's also about
Yeah.
disrupting critical infrastructure,
Undermining
spreading disinformation,
democratic institutions.
and undermining trust
Wow.
in democratic institutions.
So this is a
So it's a multifaceted threat
law prong.
that goes beyond traditional notions of espionage,
Yeah.
and it requires a multifaceted response.
Right.
The U.S. government has taken steps
But they're trying to fight that.
Chinese cyber activity,
Right.
including sanctions, indictments,
Yeah.
and diplomatic pressure.
Okay.
But it's a
It's an ongoing
it's
battle.
a constant
Right,
game
but-
of cat and mouse,
Right.
with each side trying to stay one step ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, those concerns
Yeah.
surrounding the DoD's communication security, the lack of end-to-end encryption for even unclassified communications,
It's
Or-
troubling.
this is serious, especially in light of the recent hacks of major telecom carriers.
Right.
So,
Right.
what are the potential consequences of this vulnerability?
Yeah, what are the
Yeah, the consequences could be dire.
potential consequences?
In today's interconnected world,
Right.
secure communications are paramount,
Yeah.
particularly for those serving in our armed
It's
forces.
about national security.
Yeah, vulnerabilities in communication systems
Right.
can put military personnel at risk,
That's
compromise sensitive operations, and
Totally.
undermine national security.
Right.
So it's not just about protecting data,
So this is
it's about protecting lives.
a huge deal.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reliance.
And the reliance on outdated protocols
The
like
seven-
VESA-7, which are known to be
Okay,
instituted
protocols is a cause for concern.
is crazy.
It's a ticking time bomb.
That needs to be addressed.
This needs to be fixed.
Urgently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the DoD needs to prioritize the modernization
Okay, so
of its communication system.
needs to be done.
Implement robust encryption protocols
Okay.
for all communications, regardless of classification.
So
They also need to invest
basically update everything.
in training and education for personnel
Right.
to ensure that they understand the importance of communication security
Make sure everyone's
and the best
up to
practices
speed.
for protecting sensitive information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's clear that cybersecurity is no longer
Just global challenge.
it's a global challenge.
That requires international cooperation.
Right. That requires international cooperation.
But this can be difficult to achieve,
Perfect,
as
yeah.
we've seen with the fragmented nature
Yeah. We were talking about that.
the
last
internet
Friday.
and the varying priorities of different nations.
It's hard to get
It's a complex landscape.
everyone on the same page,
Okay.
to say the least. It is,
Yeah.
and it's a landscape.
So how to constantly evolve.
International cooperation in this.
New technologies.
New threats.
Mm-hmm.
New actors are emerging all the time.
That's the million-dollar question.
It is a bit of a million-dollar question.
Right.
It requires diplomacy, dialogue,
It's tough.
and a willingness to find common ground,
So are there any
despite differences.
organizations or groups?
So organizations like the UN
Those are going to work on this.
are playing a role
Okay.
in developing norms and guidelines
So what are they doing
for responsible state behavior in cyberspace.
specifically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're essentially trying to establish
So they're
a set of rules for the road,
setting up the rules of the road.
so to speak, for
Okay.
cyberspace. And while these norms
Are these legally binding?
are not legally binding,
Right.
they can help to foster a more stable and predictable environment
It's more like a
in cyberspace.
guideline.
They can also serve as a foundation for
Yeah.
developing more concrete agreements
Yeah.
and treaties in the future.
Yeah.
So it's a long and winding road,
Long road ahead.
but it's a road we must travel
Yeah?
if we want to create a more
Right.
secure and prosperous digital future.
Okay.
Yeah.
This next story
Okay.
is about something that's emerging that's
Mm.
pretty much brand new.
Yeah, this metaverse.
Really interesting.
Have you heard about this?
Yeah, the metaverse is fascinating. So
What is this?
it's a collective term for immersive digital experiences
Okay.
that blend the physical and virtual worlds.
I mean, it sounds like
Think persistent shared 3D environments
straight
where
out
users can interact with each other, participate.
in activities, create and trade digital assets, and build virtual communities. It's essentially a convergence of virtual augmented reality and the internet.
So, I mean, it sounds like creating this persistent shared online space.
Science fiction.
It does, doesn't it?
Right.
But it's becoming increasingly real
Sure.
with major tech companies investing heavily in developing these metaverse platforms.
Yeah, it's
And
experiences. It's fascinating, but I imagine it comes with its own set of cybersecurity.
Raise a number of
nuts and
unique
bolts,
cybersecurity concerns.
Right.
Yeah, for starters,
Okay.
it relies heavily on the collection storage
Okay.
and processing of vast amounts of personal data,
So we're talking
including biometric data, location data, and
Yeah.
behavioral data.
a lot of data.
This creates a massive target
Right.
for cyber criminals
I mean, this is
seeking to steal identities,
yeah.
compromise accounts,
a gold mine for hackers.
Or conduct surveillance.
Right.
Yeah, so
So the metaverse could be a gold mine for hackers
this is something
if we're not careful.
need to be thinking about now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's not the only concern.
What else?
We also need to think about
Yeah.
the potential for new forms of malware and cyber attacks specifically designed to exploit vulnerabilities in these metaverse platforms.
I mean, this is
This
uncharted territory.
It's like the Wild West of cyberspace,
Right.
but in 3D.
It's like the Wild West,
Right.
but in 3D.
Exactly.
Oops.
And then there's the potential for social engineering attacks
Right.
to take on new forms in the metaverse.
Okay.
Imagine scammers
But that works.
creating fake avatars or virtual environments
Okay.
to trick users into revealing sensitive information
Wow.
or transferring digital assets.
So we need to start thinking about how to secure the metaverse now. before
It's too late.
We need to be proactive rather than reactive.
Yeah.
We need to bake security into the metaverse from the ground up.
Okay. Rather than trying to bolt it on
So how do we do that?
as an afterthought,
Yeah.
right? It requires a multifaceted approach
Okay.
involving collaboration
So everyone needs to work together.
between developers, platform providers, policymakers, and users.
Okay.
Developers need to prioritize security
So
in their design and development processes,
with the design phase.
creating secure coding practices and implementing robust security controls.
Okay, so build
So build security into the DNA of the metaverse.
security in from
Exactly,
Yeah.
from the get-go.
Okay.
Platform providers
What about the
need to establish strong security policies and procedures,
platforms themselves?
invest in threat detection and response capabilities, and educate users about the risks.
True.
Policymakers need to develop laws and regulations
And you have to be
that address the unique challenges of the metaverse
on Maxis.
while protecting user privacy and security.
Okay.
So it's a shared
So
responsibility.
the use.
And users need to take steps
Yeah.
to protect themselves just as they do in the physical world.
Okay.
This includes being aware of the risks, using strong passwords and multi-factor authentication,
So all the stuff
being cautious about the information they share,
we talked about earlier.
and reporting suspicious activity.
Okay.
So cybersecurity in the metaverse is
Great.
both a collective and individual responsibility.
Is shared responsibility.
We all have a part to play
Okay.
by working together.
We can make
We can create a metaverse that's both innovative and secure,
the metaverse safe.
a space where users can explore, create, and connect without fear of harm.
Okay.
Yeah,
That sounds like a good goal.
that's the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up
Does it
our deep dive
for this week?
into cybersecurity news.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been great talking with you.
It's been great talking with you, too. Yeah.
As always,
Stay safe out there.
stay safe, stay informed,
Stay informed.
and stay ahead of the curve.
And stay ahead of the curve.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.